Anyway,
I think James wants to be immortal.
forgive me for not getting in early and asking people if this be okay, but a couple of us had said, it's difficult to capture this hour, and for people who have never attended yet, if I can try and put together a little piece of it, we'll try that. Okay, the question was, what do I base my belief? And my belief is based upon experience. Because, quite frankly, I don't give a lot of credence to my belief anymore. It's failed me. My beliefs since childhood have failed me consistently. You believe that if you do good things will happen to you, all these things. And one of my favorite sayings is one of the tragedies we teach children at life is fair. You better be fair, and fairness has nothing to do with it. I tell my kids it's not going to be okay, it's going to be better than that. I was sort of the anti-religious son of one of 5 boys, although I was brought up as an choir boy in the Episcopal Church and loved going to church, loved being in church, loved the feeling of being connected with music. I will tell you that I was given a series of challenges, as we all are in childhood, health-wise and otherwise, that sort of left me depending only upon my brain and being on my own when I was 13 years old. As an emancipated minor, and I learned to depend upon, at that time, a near photographic memory, and my nickname happened to have been Computer, because I pretty much was like Mr. Spock. If you remember the Star Trek episode, that was my life for the first 20 years. I was Mr. Spock, and lo and behold, I was given the fortunate event of being killed in a car accident and resuscitated when I was about 32. And in that car accident and what I call that after-death experience and during the resuscitation, I didn't see God. I didn't see white tunnels and things of that sort. But I instantly became aware that all of this is an illusion. That all of this is just like a false movie set. And I had instant realization of that, as well as an experience of sort of bouncing back and forth between a couple of other lives. The period after that was very difficult because I lost everything that I had valued. Not only did I lose my family, I lost the ability to use my legs. I was in a wheelchair. I lost my career. I lost my friends. I lost what I call the perfect storm. And most of us can take an injury to our emotional life or our financial life or our health life, but when you get hit all 3 levels at the same time, I call that the perfect storm. And the perfect storm is where you will go into that, what they call the dark night of the soul, and certainly I had that. And in that period of time, and I tried to treat myself for depression, and I put myself in a hospital, and I did everything logically that a logical brain would do I knew what was happening to me. I knew it had a good cause. I knew that, that all these events had medical and other reasons. And yet my mind couldn't save me. And so with great preparation, I prepared to take myself out of this life, and I made myself a nice little Kevorkian cocktail because I was working in the medical industry. Put myself in a body bag, did all of these nice little arrangements, and, pushed the final syringes, and had my second after-death experience, which I would call the experience of hell, or mind death. And as a matter of fact, it was a couple of years before I really felt that I was back in physical manifestation. In that period, of course, I didn't die for some reason. 3 days later, I woke in a completely different room, completely changed, and I certainly at that point said, well, I can't even do that right. There must be some reason why I'm supposed to be here and do this. So, like many, I went to a place that was off in nature. I was teaching at a Red Cross aquatic school camp and stood on the end of a rock one night and basically threatened God and said, all right, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay? This is it.
The old Job.
This is your one opportunity. This is it. Okay? I'm listening. If there's something that you want me to do, if there's something that's supposed to happen, then, other than that, then I, feel that I have your blessing to do whatever that I feel I need to do. Well, with that event came, quote unquote, the booming voice. There was a series of mystical things that happened, and there happened to have been someone there that who I didn't know because she was enrolled as a student, was a nun. And I got what I call the first message, which was this somewhat biblical, and being at that point, again, up until that point in my life, sort of anti-religious. I had no education, no experience, no interest, no background knowledge. Some of the passages sounded remotely familiar. But it gave me the, if you will, the new life. And the crazy thing was I always knew I would be dead before I was 40. And in fact, that person, that life was dead, was gone. The next 15 years was a series of experiences, without going into long, detailed things, but a series of mystical, magical, bizarre, painful, may I emphasize the word painful, experiences. And all transformations like the, I call cocoon stage, the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. It's a painful metamorphosis to break out of that shell. But also along the way, strange people came into my life for absolutely no reason, who were just driven, if you will. One woman jumped over 3 sets of chairs and, at a spiritualist church and tackled me, because she said if I went out the door, something told her that her life would never be the same, and we ended up becoming best friends and starting a meditation school and all of that. Since that time, it's really in the surrender. It's really in the giving, the world what the skills are in your worldly life, and then giving what is your spiritual life its effort and time. And of course, I educated myself. Spent a couple of years in a Buddhist monastery, and traveled the country, and saw every dowser, high priestess, Wiccan, shaman, sweat lodge. Added all those experiences so I would know what was the core of each one. Not, fortunately I didn't get sucked into, because I already felt that I had the core, that I didn't get sucked into, if you will, the show. What I call playing in the psychic sandbox, which a lot of people get caught in. They get one, they see Mother Mary in the bagel, and, that's that, they don't go any further, that's only one jewel on the path. That's only one of many, if you keep looking, in the mud. And most of the jewels are in the mud. And that's the crazy thing. They're not on altars someplace. They're not, in dusty old books. They're in the mud. They're all around you. They're in the craziest, bizarre, and even, if you will, sacrilegious places. They're at everywhere from drug-induced, hypnotic states to, orgies to, violence. They're everywhere, those jewels, because there's no place that the universe or God is not there. I don't like to use the term God, because it heckles other people. Right away, their defenses go up if your experience is somehow a threat to their belief system. So when I do this class and things, I'm going to start it with, there's 2 ways to come to your spiritual truth, and that is, one, you can have faith. And faith is you read another doctrine, you become part of a tradition, and it works for you. Whether that's affirmation or going to church or singing or jumping up and down or whatever, it works for you. And if that works for you, that's faith. The second way is to have the experience. And then really the faiths don't matter. None of the faiths threaten you. You can see them all as beautiful, plants in the garden, that you can consume, whatever parts you might like. Now, wanting that experience is unfortunately the one thing that will stop you from having it. And certainly I didn't want it, and certainly I didn't choose it. I would have been very happy as a fireman, my entire life, and doing the things that I did. I had a wonderful life, and enjoyed being married, enjoyed raising my kids, enjoyed all of that. And certainly if I had to go back, it would be a difficult choice to say, okay, which way do you want to go? Ignorance is bliss. It really is. And because once you know, you can't unknow. That's the thing. And so the belief is not based for me on, a childhood upbringing or a particular faith or even one particular experience, but, dragged by the faith, if you will, with, skid marks in the sand, my heel marks, not wanting to go. And yet now I finally have reached the point where I can be in collaboration with it, even with all of my faults and all of my failings. And, I don't have to be perfect anymore. And in that respect, that's my experience.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.